October 23rd, 2020, 11 o'clock a.m. Friday meeting. It's a special meeting called to order. So we make a motion to accept the agenda.
So move.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All righty. Excuse me?
Yeah. Hi, Field.
Howdy.
Okay. So we'll go right to action item number 1. Next up in water model, or with water modeling, Keller Associates. Where are you at there, Kyle?
I'm right here, guys.
All right.
I'm just wondering if we need to make a motion or anything, because we've already had a motion and approved it, and the only difference was waiting for the approval from McAllen.
My memory serves me. We just wanted to kind of get together and make sure of what we really wanted him to look at this time, instead of, I don't think we wanted him to do the whole system right now. Is that what you're thinking, Ted? We were going to do the Dormore first?
The Dormore is, the Dormore needs to be done regardless if it's first or if it's last. But I think we can be doing water lines and do the Dormore and
Well, that's not what she means, Ted. She means Keller. What the water model? What should they just focus on Dormore first so that we can figure out if that will work?
Well, that seems to be the whole basis. The Dormore deficiencies seem to be the whole basis for this whole complete aspect of and seem to be the emergency situation.
Yeah, I think that doing Dormore first and in the water model would either tell us it'll work or it won't work.
Right.
What do you think, Ted?
Yeah. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
And let the cards fall where they may.
Jesse, I think
exactly.
that's what our prior motion was. Isn't that correct? Kyle, is that what you have that we chose to start with?
Yeah, so I think prior discussions, there was that concern about that 26 or 23 house lot right by the post office. And then the last meeting, you guys said, hey, that wasn't going to come through. It doesn't take us very long to just throw on like a demand of maybe 23 or 26 houses there just to see how that system interacts existing right there. It's really simple for us to do that. So we might just do that just to make sure that there's nothing crazy or whatnot, just to, cover everyone's basis. So we understand if that does get developed, you guys aren't in a bad situation. But if you don't want me to even consider that, that's fine. We won't even do that.
No, but I think that whole area at the post office needs to be looked at.
Yep.
So when we decided to do that, we said, well, maybe we ought to throw that in. And I don't know, it's probably not going to take any much more effort to do that because it's on the market again. We're probably going to be looking at it, you guys, the next time somebody has it. So,
well, I agree. They do have 25 ERs. So some builder is going to build.
Sooner or later it'll happen, yeah.
The reason that it's back on the market, though, I think, is the factor of the creek being there and having to be possibly 75 feet from the creek. And I'm sure that Viking thought, well, what are we dinging around with a little 25-unit piece of property, and that we may be in a battle with the environmentalists for 2 or 3 years on it. We've got bigger fish to fry than that.
Yeah, that could possibly be.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's just something, as long as we're doing it, let's look at it.
Yeah, and here's the only other thing that I'm foreseeing maybe being a potential issue. So we're on the same page with Dormore area. We're on the same page with looking at the post office area. I think the concern is when we coordinated with the prior engineer, they explained that their future demands, their future conditions that was modeled used basically the existing conditions flow.
Right.
Right.
So what we say, being that independent party, coming in with a fresh view, that is something that we see as maybe not being very conservative, because if you get that growth and let's say you fix these pipelines, we don't know what percent is lost versus unaccounted for. So maybe the unaccounted for is actually, 70% of the water loss, and maybe the water loss is only 30%. And then you start adding on and growing those connections, and then you never actually modeled and looked at your system where those demands might actually truly be higher. And I don't know if I explained that very well, and I can try to paint that better in an email, but I think that I have a little concern with making that assumption that if we do these improvements, we're not gonna have any changes in our peak day demand 20 years from now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that I thought we had built in some growth factors. I mean, we certainly should have. I remember the discussion about it, but I can't tell you what resulted from it.
Yeah.
So,
and my thought is, Colleen, what we do is we're not going to go in left field here. We, basically look at those two areas, and then just big picture, it wouldn't take us very much to look at that future kind of that 2040 flow that you guys have in the facility plan, which is more
right.
conservative, and just make sure there's nothing major that we're missing. If there's something that pops out that we're a little concerned with, I'll circle back around before we get going too far and just bring it to your attention, and then you guys can dictate where you want to go with it. But, just to be clear with you, I'm not going to go in left field, try to do all this crazy stuff, and then come back and be like, oh, this is where it's at, this is where you need to go. We're going to get just enough information, get in the model just enough on that regard to be able to have a good conversation with you guys on it, if that makes sense.
okay, I have one other question. When we're talking about adding that line from the tank down to the intersection of the transmission line into town, about right where the line comes in from wellhouse number 7, I think that's where it's supposed to go. Do we need to do anything modeling to add that, Kyle?
And this is the project that was not included in your guys' selective improvements, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But we all know that DEQ wants it done, and we want it done because it's probably where the most leaks are.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you right now, Colleen, because I don't have the model pulled up to know how that's set up right now in the model. But what I can do is take a look at it and then circle back around with someone on the board or Bob, just to make sure we're showing what needs to be shown and it's modeled correctly.
Are you all right with that, Ted?
Yes. Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't see why we can't be doing. Yeah. In the model. But when we get into the physical construction, I don't see why we can't be doing 2 or 3 projects.
Right. Yeah, we'll probably save money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry and Cal, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm just sitting back here. So do we need to make a motion, or is she just going to do it? I think like you say, we already did quite a bit of
Well,
motion.
I think we've already approved the modeling for the
The Dormore and the post office.
yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any more discussion on it then?
Nope.
Okay. So I guess we can move on to number 2 then.
Yeah.
So number 2 action item, process of hiring a new attorney. So, where do we have to send out
We don't have to put out an RFQ.
No.
Or an RFP. We do.
Okay.
I would address that if that. So I shot an email to Jesse after our last meeting. It is within the powers of the board to hire, retain employees, engineers, attorneys, that sort of thing. The normal sort of purchasing by political subdivisions, which we are, the procurement of a professional services contract falls under the exclusions to the sort of competitive bidding process, of which you can utilize an RFP to accomplish. And so you don't necessarily have to do an RFP. You can't. It's a may process that is done to be used, or is to be used in the competitive bidding process. But just as a general rule, hiring of an attorney would be excluded from the competitive bidding process anyway.
Right. Understand.
So,
Go ahead, Al.
So Jesse, did you send a letter to that one person that Field recommended?
I have not reached out to them yet. I wanted to wait until we had this meeting to get full direction from the board. And then Colleen also got a recommendation from Bob Hansen. So we're gonna, because we all know that it's kind of a small pool of attorneys who really know water and sewer, business. So that was really awesome that Bob Hansen gave us another recommendation. So I'll reach out to Caitlin Kling and
Janet Robinette.
Yeah.
Robinette. And it's interesting because I tried to find her this morning. She was with Lake City Law until very recently, and that's where Caitlin is. And it showed that she went to another firm. I didn't write it down. I will. I'll get you that information. I just don't know. When Cooch stopped by this morning to pick up what I printed for him, he really, really speaks highly of Caitlin, and he made the observation to me. I guess, she's very much a specialist in our area, which is what we need, but she's also young. And he said, if we get in, with her right now, that would be a good thing and kind of grow with her, because he said before long then she's not going to be taking clients. So I just wanted to pass that on. But
So Jesse, if you get the letters out tomorrow, I'd like to be able to interview them sometime next week, or the latest, the beginning of the next week.
I agree. We need to get something going.
Yeah.
So Jesse, are you going to just ask them for a letter of interest, or what?
Yeah, after the meeting, I'll email them and see if they're interested.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd recommend getting a letter of interest, perhaps a bio or a resume of some sort, to help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
if we get it back, if they're interested right away, then Jesse, don't hesitate to let us know so we can set up an interview as soon as possible.
Interview.
Okay.
Yeah, and send us their bio information so we'll have something before we interview them. That's great.
Okay.
Good. We're just moving right along.
All right. Okay, we're done. No more discussion on number 2 then?
No, Jesse, you feel good? You're all ready for that process?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we're moving on to 3. So action item, ordinance and resolutions review.
All right. I'll take this to begin with, and then I'm going to turn it over to Field. But he and I worked an hour and a half yesterday morning, basically just on the ordinance for the sewer, the water we started, and the water. I don't know. I don't think an attorney drew the water resolution. I don't know how it got in there. It looks to me, after working with it, I think Linda just took something from somewhere and put it in there. It's just so incomplete. It's going to require a lot of work. I tried to call Field earlier today and couldn't reach him. But after thinking about it and realizing we have to do a repeal and replace on both of the documents because there are substantial changes, things that were never included, additions. Bob Hansen sent me some information because I had asked him about a couple issues that I really didn't know how to deal with on the sewer side. And he referred me to a couple other small sewer boards that had their documents posted. And I went and looked at Bottle Bay this morning, and I wanted to ask Field to do it, but he was busy, and I had this meeting coming up in a few minutes. So given the fact that we're going to have to so extensively go over these documents, I think we're going to spend less time if we just replace them. And I was going to give that information to you, Field, to go on and look at Bottle Bay, and they have their ordinances posted. And then we can kind of talk about it. And then I'll come back to the board after Field looks at them. But right now, that's what I'm feeling when I look at what's going on here. I mean, I spent 36 hours drawing what we did yesterday, and we're not close. And the water is going to be 5 times that. So that's where I am. Field, what do you think?
Well, I do think so. The other benefit, going back to sort of why to repeal and replace, the changes are significant, and by repealing and replacing, it helps to just say, rather than, you'll have a brand new ordinance to look at rather than having to go and find, what was being repealed from the previous ordinance and going back that way. I do think, we've started drafting the sewer ordinance and incorporating some of those changes, but certainly the water resolution is going to take a little bit of work.
Yeah, but I
that's what you should do, Colleen. We should just repeal it and then just write a brand new one.
Yeah, that seems way more efficient.
Yeah. So if Field, if you'll go look at those documents, and I don't know.
I absolutely will.
Yeah, how we handle that, but we'll get together and then I'll report back to you guys. But I think in the long run, it's going to save us, and we're going to have a better set of documents. So,
who is it, Colleen, that has it posted? Maybe we.
Bottle Bay Water and Sewer District.
Okay.
It's up. Yeah, it's up by Sagal, and the documents are all new, and they just flow so much better, and it's just a better situation. So we'll see.
Bottle Bay Tour and Water.com, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then just look at their ordinances.
You can definitely,
Is that A-N-D, or the sign and?
I don't know, but if you do a Google search for Bottle Bay Water and Sewer, it should come up, Ted.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up.
Field, it's not something is it something that we can do where we can just take theirs and incorporate our Bayview Water and Sewer District name?
I don't know if, field, is that, I don't know if that's a proper thing to do. Maybe, you know, I've seen where you take a little bit from, bylaws and ordinances.
Yeah.
I think it's a good, you know, without having reviewed them at all, you know, certainly using them as a template and taking provisions that you like and definitions that you like and making those changes. Absolutely, you know, it's,
Because they're published. That's what
well, and you know, why remake the wheel if you don't have to?
Exactly.
But that being said, you know, we have our own ordinance and we have at least something that we have been doing, and so there is a you know, there may be some competing interests there as far as what people are used to, but I think it's a great